Welcome to the Blerdsnerds podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blerdsnerds podcast. I'm James.
I'm Jaja.
And it's just us two this week, so we got boys' night. It's a special one we got for you guys. We got a good discussion topic coming up, but we'll get into our regular stuff first. No Shannon this week. She gets a shout out of shame. She told us probably like 12 hours ago. So if we see him all over the place, it's because we just figured out we had to do this on our own. So shame on Shannon.
Yeah, we're gonna hold it down though. You
Yeah.
we got to do one of these every once in a while.
Exactly. But we got a good pod for you guys this week. We're gonna try something different. We're going rogue. We're going rogue this week. So we got our topic is gonna be Western cartoons versus anime. Jaja and I are gonna go give you guys some thought-provoking questions. We'd like to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments, wherever you may be watching this. So before we get into that, let's get into some nerdy things. What you been up to, Jaja?
What have I been up to? Let's see. On the gaming front, it's still Call of Duty heavy. And I am playing the Mech Warrior Clans game. So those are the two games I've been flipping back and forth from. Keeping up with the Dan. Still going strong. We'll talk about that later. I did start Invincible Fight Girl.
Nice.
I watched the first couple episodes. That's pretty fire. And then that's funny that we're going to be talking about cartoons versus anime because I was watching a video by a guy named Bumper Jumper, and he dropped it about like a week ago. And it's a new Attack on Titan theory about the story. And it makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if you want me to, I could do it right after your nerdy things before we get into like the anime and cartoon stuff, but that's it for me.
Gotcha.
Haven't been
Yeah,
really nerdy.
we can jump into that just a second. Let me lace through my nerdy things. So Dan and Dragon Ball Daima, still keeping up with those weekly. I meant to watch Bleach. I hear it's cooking now, so I need to go ahead and get back into that. Blue Lock, still have not watched Blue Lock, but I seen a clip. It's still poorly animated, but it's looking better. So they had at least one scene of full animation. So they're actually in the tournament now playing real deal soccer instead of soccer drills and stuff like they've been doing. So yeah, gaming wise, I've been on Horizon still. That's the only game I've been playing. I haven't played any Call of Duty recently, but having a lot of fun with that. Whatever year it came out, I hope it won Game of the Year because this game is fire. So I'm still in Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm gonna definitely start the next game after I finish this one because I do have that one too on PS5.
That's pretty high praise.
Yeah,
Being that game is so old, yeah. And that's one of the games that I'm jealous of you guys. I'm probably gonna have to cop that for PC.
Yeah, no, this game is tough, especially the remaster. So my first playthrough is the remaster. So I'm sure it was more or less the same game, but it just seems optimized now. So some of the PS5 features like the haptic triggers and stuff like that, super dope. And it looks visually good too. So they did a good job remastering it visually as well. So I watched Invincible Fight Girl, so I'm fully caught up. I actually watched the most recent episode live on Cartoon Network. So it comes on at midnight on Cartoon Network. Crazy time slot. But yeah, it came on at midnight, so I watched that with commercials and all. So watching live TV felt kind of strange.
Okay.
And then I watched I don't know why I put off so long, but I watched the One Piece fan letter. So they did like a special fan letter type of episode where a fan of the Straw Hat Pirates wrote letters to the pirates. So I'm not sure how far along in the show you have to be to watch it. I don't think there's any major spoilers. So you might be able to watch it from where you are in a show. So I would check that out for sure. But yeah, that's my nerdy things. So what's more on this Attack on Titan theory that you in?
I mean, one thing about One Piece real quick. So first of all, Crunchyroll wants me to watch Blue Lock really bad. That's like the first thing it shows me every single time.
Every time.
And then I go into the shows I'm watching and I see One Piece sitting there I'm at like 5:30 something. And I'm like, even though I haven't been watching it like hard, I don't feel like I'm like falling off of it because I'm like too invested now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to finish it.
And they're on a break for a while.
Everything that happened. So I'm about to get back on my One Piece grind. But I I'm gonna check out that fan letter. Thank for the recommendation. It sounds like one of those things like when you're reading the manga and at the end of the chapter, or they might have that interlude chapter where it has stuff like that, like fan letters and questions from or stuff from the author, you know. But I'm gonna check it out. So for this Attack on Titan theory, check this out. What if, because you know how we were talking about Aaron's the villain. He did all this stuff at the end of the story so that, you know, his friends could survive. It didn't really change the outcome of anything. Aldea still gets destroyed. We don't even know if the Attack on Titan powers are still in because the tree's there. So and Aaron's head was buried there. So we're assuming the Titan powers are like still with Aaron kind of, and they could come back or whatever. But think about this. And what if Ymir like orchestrated this whole thing? And I know this has been said before, right? But orchestrated it to the point where, like, do you remember the scene in the anime where I think at the very end, Mikasa's talking to Ymir and she's saying, and it flashes back and it shows Ymir not taking the spear for the king, living with her kids, and you know, they didn't show much. It just showed her not taking the spear and her hugging her kids. And you're supposed to assume, like, oh, this is a timeline where she didn't take the spear or she's just thinking about it. But what if, like, through her attack on the Attack on Titan powers, seeing the future, being able to send messages, because if Aaron can do it, she should be able to do it, right?
Mhm.
So what if she orchestrated everything just so that she can get this, so that this picture of Aaron destroying 80% of the world and him having to be killed by the person that loves him the most in the world, like sending that picture back to her younger self when she was about to take the spear, and just her just not taking the spear and being able to live with her kids peacefully. You know, the Attack on Titan, the Titan powers probably die with her in that timeline because he doesn't pass them on. Like, imagine the whole Attack on Titan story is just a branch timeline that isn't really like after Mikasa kills Eren, like that's it resets all the way back to Ymir not taking the spear, and then she just gets to live on her life. So Eren really had no choice in what he did. And he was trying to find ways out of it the whole time. The video explains it a lot more. So if you want like details, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering this guy's freaking theory. But if you want the details, I would check out this dude Bumper Jumper. It's a really, really good theory. And
We'll invite him on so he can expand.
so yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
Wait,
got me thinking about.
did you watch Penguin finale?
Of course. Of course.
Nice.
Of
All
course.
right,
Of course.
what's your thoughts there?
Did I not say that in my nerdy things? I'm
You did
still
not.
on
Yeah,
Penguin. That's the talk of the town right now.
I forgot to mention it as well, but I definitely watched it.
I just seen I don't know how true is it because you know Instagram news, but that Colin Farrell just signed on for like 3 more Batman movies or something like that. He's
I
gonna
heard
be
about
in
that
3
too. Yeah,
scenes
I didn't see
in the
any
next
official
movie.
confirmation, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
I saw it on
opposed.
Instagram, so tread lightly with that information, guys. I'm sorry for not fact checking that.
Yeah.
But I would imagine we're gonna see a lot more Penguin.
Yeah. So
You think we could give a spoiler-free review of, because I don't know if Shannon's gonna watch it or not. I don't want to spoil anything for her.
yeah,
She
that's
can
probably
tell
why
me.
she's missing today, because she's watching Penguin.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what's going on.
It's safe to assume she's
Yeah,
just grinding it out. She's like, I can't even come on the pod until I finish the whole thing. It's that good.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, spoiler free. I think my biggest takeaway is they're bringing back villains that are actually evil instead of, well, he might be right, he might be wrong. Nah, it's this guy, he's just a villain. So
Right. And
I do like that.
I agree with that 100%. And I think Batman villains are probably some of the top tier villains out of anything.
They're doing them justice,
Like,
which sounds crazy to be doing a villain justice, but yeah, the villains they're carrying the way right now.
just like the mentals and the motivations of the villains in the Batman universe, they're like so twisted.
Yeah.
Just, but towards the end, like, everybody, there's something that happens that everyone's talking about that's like, oh my God, but like I understand, why it happened. And I kind of like, as the episode was going on, I was like, all right, like the relationship between him and his mom, once we saw what happened there, it's like, all right, then you're a piece of sugar honey iced tea.
Yeah,
Like,
this guy is just a sheer
that is
dirtbag.
crazy. Like, you're right about that. Just bringing back true villains. Like, there's no doubt in
Yeah,
anybody's
this guy.
mind
It's no
that
redeeming
he
qualities
is the
about
best.
this one.
And I was Sophia that's why, like I was saying, so Sophia Falcone, even though she's like a villain, like she came off as like the hero of the story. Like I wanted her to get away. I wanted her
Yeah,
to live her life and be free and just, do her
she.
thing. But
We were hoping
you'll
she
see
would
what happens when it
go to
happens.
Italy without spoiling what she actually ended up doing. But yeah, it would have been cool to see, the Falcons. Maybe she would have went to Italy, lived her life, been a fashion TikToker.
I'm glad they didn't mention Batman at all. We did not need it.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation on if we get to see any Batman, but we didn't. Batman
Didn't
would have
need
thrown the whole trajectory of the show off
it.
because
Right. I would have been mad if I saw Batman. Like, yo, go away, Batman. We don't need you right now.
yeah, we want to see some villainy right now.
But
But I would definitely give it.
overall,
What's
do
your
you
rating though?
my
Number,
rating?
yeah, number rating for
Come
Penguin.
on, this show is rated at through the roof. Like, I can't. It has to get over a 10 for me. Like, it's like I was exaggerating. Maybe 15 out of 10 is a little bit too high, but like it's definitely like if I'm gonna give a show a 10 out of 10, it's this one. Hands
That's
down.
fair.
Every episode, high octane, kept me on a at the edge of my seat every episode. And yeah, it reminded me of that power feeling, how power get that adrenaline going. Like,
Yeah,
heart
like it's
start
it's
beating fast and
it's
scenes
not
like
predictable.
if my heart starts beating fast watching a show, you got me.
Yeah, this is one of them shows where it's actually not predictable at all. So you might think you know where things are going. Penguin hat Penguin has other ideas.
And geez, and it's just so true to his name. He's just so slippery and like
Yeah,
Penguin, like
Oswald,
the show should have been over so many times, like every
literally.
episode.
You think we get a season 2 out of this? Did they ever?
They have to. They have to. There's no way.
Yeah,
There's no way you don't milk this. Milk this.
this was
You
an
have to.
insane origin story.
Just please write it good. Please don't just put as much effort as you did into this season into the next season. That's
Yeah,
all I.
whoever was involved this season, keep them for the next season. Don't change anything. You guys clearly got a good story going, and you're telling it well. So kudos to Penguin.
Kudos to Colin Farrell for sitting down for 2 hours to get his makeup done every time he has to shoot a scene. That's like,
Yeah, I almost forget it's Colin Farrell because it's like he's so heavily not looking like himself.
yeah. Well, in the Batman, it was Colin Farrell, right? In the movie,
Yeah,
never knew, never realized it until the show came out that was Colin Farrell. And I liked the Penguin in the movie. Like I came on here and was like, yo, he was carrying that movie. So
yeah, real
yeah,
villains are back.
all about that, the writing, pay the writers. I'm so
Yeah,
glad that strike ended because boy, ooh, things
we're
were
getting
things were a little shaky.
we're getting some quality TV. Speaking of more quality TV, Dan this week has set the internet ablaze, and even Shannon has came out and said this episode has, and I quote, fully sold her. She also texted me and said that she wanted me to say this specifically. She is now a fan to Dan. I told her, I'll say
Yeah,
that because you requested, but we didn't need to include that. But yeah, Shannon is a fan to Dan now. So shout out to Shannon. Yeah.
that is the first time I'm hearing that term, and that's the funniest thing I've heard all day. That is hilarious. A fan to them.
Yeah, but
That's great. But I'm here for it because I
episode
listen.
7,
I
yeah, they
damn.
were cooking. Yeah.
What happened?
I said they were cooking in this most recent episode. So we get another
It's
backstory.
going.
Wait, did you watch it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, gotcha. You're up to date. Yeah, so we got a backstory on the new Are they apparitions? Are they calling it apparitions or ghosts?
I heard both ghosts. I thought they were like right now they're ghosts, right? Like they
Yeah.
haven't
So
done it really.
the new character that they were fighting in the previous episode, we got some backstory on her and the ghost that was saying she was her mom. It turns out was indeed her mom. So insane. Wait, are we getting spoiler review or no spoiler review?
Um, no spoiler review. No
Oh
spoiler
dang,
review.
I didn't already spoiled it. I'm sorry, y'all.
I do have a. I don't know if you spoiled it though, because I like. I don't think that was her mom.
Wait, the ghost?
Yeah, wasn't that like she had a memory of her kid, and then she just thought that was her kid because she could see her?
No, that was her mom.
That was her real mom.
Yeah, they went through the tragic
Okay, all right,
backstory, how she ended up becoming a ghost.
got it.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode has sold. Well, I mean, people were already sold from the jump, so people were hyping it up. I still think it's a really good show. I do think it's still a bit overhyped, but yeah, they're definitely cooking.
Wait,
Oh, he had to take a sip on that one.
drop the microphone right now. Overhyped,
Yeah, I
overhyped.
still think so. I like it though, but
All right, give me your top three anime of this year,
this
if you
year,
can.
I don't even know what I watched this year. I'm trying to think. Where's my anime
I
list?
give you I give you the ones that should be in the top. Kaiju number 8 gotta be in there. Dan
Top three on the
Dan
year.
gotta be in there.
I'm trying to
I'm
think.
trying to think of number three. I would have to think of number three.
That aired
Maybe
this year.
Tales of Wisteria. I probably put Wisteria at number three. Maybe Solo Leveling. I gotta finish Solo Leveling. But
Was that this year? If that was this year, that's definitely my number one.
I mean Solo Leveling's still going, isn't it?
It's the movie comes out next month and tickets are on sale now. So you said you were
When
gonna
did
watch
the
that, right?
when did the season was going this year? It's considered a 2024 anime, I think.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Soul Level. Oh
So,
yeah. 8 months ago I finished it. Yep. Soul Leveling is my number one for sure.
okay, I wouldn't be mad at that. But the Dan's not in your top three?
It might be actually. Let's see. Kaiju number eight's in there. And A Sign of Affection, actually. I don't know if you watched that one,
Mm,
but
I gotta
that
put
that,
that
that
on
would
the
round
list.
out.
If you're throwing it up in the top four, top three, I gotta watch that immediately.
Yeah, that tops out my top three. But Kaiju number eight, I was already familiar with, so like I was expecting that to be good anyways. Same with Soul Leveling, but um, yeah, that's my top three that aired this year.
Overhyped
But
is strong words, man. The Hand in Hand is one of those, man. I think it's gonna. I mean, the way it's going viral, it's probably gonna like win Anime of the Year. I'm assuming
yeah, I could see a case being made for it.
it's going super viral.
Yeah,
like, like that's when they're posting talking about the dub is better than the sub, like all types of craziness.
yeah, I definitely watch it dubbed. If the dub is out, I'm gonna watch the dub. I say
Uh-huh.
that every time, but if the dub is out, I'm watching the dub, especially if it's up
If
to date.
you seen your homegirl do the One Piece walk, have you
Yep,
seen that meme? Yo, this show has everything. Yo. It's
One
so
Piece is
it's so
peak.
it is different too. That's the and I want to clean something up from the last episode because I think we asked something about like, is this a romance? And I was saying no, it's not a romance. It's obviously a romance. But what I was trying to say is that I think it's like the least corniest romance that I've ever seen written in an anime. Like it's happening so organically and so not cringe. I don't know how to say that.
Doesn't feel like a forced romance.
Yeah, like it's happening so natural and like,
Yeah, that's why you got to
it's
watch A
cool.
Sign of Affection.
All right, all right, all right, no problem. You got me.
But yeah, Dan to Dan,
I
cooking
gotta take a
still.
break from
Yeah,
the action.
yeah. So I mean, I do think it's good. So me saying it's overhyped doesn't mean I don't think it's good. I do think it's a good show. I think it's overinflated about how people talk about it. But you
All
know,
right, I got you.
I enjoy it still. I'm gonna keep on watching. Dragon Ball Daima, people aren't really talking about this because I don't know, maybe are they sleeping on it? Or are they falling
I
asleep
stopped
watching it?
watching it after the third episode. and this is coming from someone who gave y'all a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to watch it dubbed, and I was gonna go see it in the movie theater, but I was like, am I really gonna go watch the first 3 episodes over in English? Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna watch them at home in English if it's the same exact episode. It's okay. I got you. It's Kira Toriyama. You know how much I love Dragon Ball Z. It's all right. You
Yeah.
don't need all my money. You got a lot.
Yeah, so Dragon Ball Daima, well, no spoiler then for the most recent episode, but they're still in the demon world, still moseying
Is it
along.
starting to cook?
Um, they're back like traveling again, so they're trying to go to somewhere new in the demon world. So I mean, there was some fighting going on. We did see Goku and Super Saiyan form finally. So in the previous episode, he like flashed Super Saiyan, so it like blinked. I thought he was gonna go Super Saiyan, so like his hair turned yellow and everything, but then he was like just not Super Saiyan the very next second. But this time he like actually stayed Super Saiyan. Um, and then people actually acknowledge they're like, wait, what is that? So it the Super Saiyan design, I personally think that the GT Super Saiyan design for Kid Goku looks cooler. But I think that art style is just different. So I think it's different art styles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, we kind of know what to expect there. As far as Goku going back to Super Saiyan. Now he's getting used to his younger body. So the other members of the Z fighters are still not there either. So I'm sure in the coming episodes they'll probably pull up and uh
I'm expecting this cartoon to be a slow burn. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it's I want to say like 20 episodes or so. So it's gonna be a while instead of the traditional, well, the new traditional of like 12, 13 episodes. So we got a little bit longer of a runway for things to start picking up with Dragon Ball Daima. And any other weekly shows that we missed? Nah, Bleach I haven't watched. The show I was thinking of last week that I was like the guy with the bird head that I meant to watch. It's called Shangri-La Frontier. I still haven't started that
Yeah,
yet. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'll probably start it at some point. I was on call this week, so I didn't have much time to do pretty much anything. So now that I'm not going to be on call this coming week, I'll have more time to do stuff. Maybe I'll do a Dan to Dan deep dive and become a cultist like everyone else. So.
Oh man.
But into the main topic for today, we got a discussion topic. So instead of traditional, we usually give you guys news and stuff like that, our thoughts throughout the week. We're just gonna give it a good discussion topic. We want to hear what you guys think. So Western cartoons versus anime. When I was watching Invincible Fight Girl, I was thinking, man, I used to really like to tune into Cartoon Network / Toonami and watch, cartoons and anime. But now it seems like anime has for sure taken the throne. So my question to you and to anyone watching, do you guys think anime has surpassed Western cartoons in popularity?
By far.
Easily,
I would
yeah,
say
with
so.
ease. So
With
I know for a while, this is a couple of years ago, people were debating. They're like, is anime mainstream? I think at this point we can safely say anime is for sure mainstream. And I would even argue that anime is more popular than Western cartoons. So when we say Western cartoons, we mean like uh Teen Titans type of shows, Justice League, um, even Ed, and Eddie shows like that. Um, so Western cartoons versus anime. Um,
Mhm.
I'm still not exactly sure where to put Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I mean that's not being animated currently, so they don't really have too much of a horse in this race. But um, yeah, I do think for sure anime has passed Western cartoons in popularity. Um, can they make a comeback, Western cartoons? I think they can. So we have mad source material and shows that people do want to see. They're just not being animated and animated regularly. So I think what happens with anime is they come out so frequently that it's like there's constantly a new anime to watch versus cartoons from here. They're like there's your options are limited. So
Mhm.
for instance, when I went to New York, this was sometime maybe last month, the month before, Cartoonami, or well, not Cartoonami, but Adult Swim came on. They're still airing King of the Hill. King of the Hill has been coming on Cartoon Network since I was in like middle school. So
Yeah.
they're still showing reruns of King of the Hill. That could be a slot for a show that, some new up and coming show. Maybe Invincible
Right.
Fight Girl should probably be in that slot because right now it's coming on, just Saturday night at midnight.
That's
Um,
insane.
that's a terrible time slot for anything. So I don't know how you expect anything to grow popularity. But King of the Hill, you get, an hour or two of King of the Hill every day throughout the week. So I think Cartoon Network specifically has like an issue with promoting some of these new cartoons that are coming out because there's bangers that have been coming out. So
Mhm.
things like regular show, Adventure Time, people, thoroughly enjoy these shows, but they kind of get tossed to the wayside. And then you got, Family Guy coming on 2 hours a night, American
Hmm.
Dad coming on. Those kind of shows are still like they're not going anywhere. Which I mean, they for sure have a place in American cartoon history, but do we need to watch reruns of those throughout the
Yeah.
year? I don't think so.
I
Uh,
feel I
so
feel like I feel like our cartoons and like Western cartoons have been like going downhill since I was younger. I could say that. I mean, it sounds cliche, like you get older, the stuff that's new coming out is whacker. But in terms of anime, it's the reverse. Like it just keeps on the stuff that's coming out keeps getting better and better and better. And I don't know. I don't know if it's that like since anime, a lot of them are based on mangas, which you can kind of like test to see if this is gonna have an audience or not. A lot of mangas get written and nobody gravitates to them, or Shonen Jump doesn't like them, so they don't see the light of day. Like the guy who wrote Tokyo Revengers, he has a bunch of mangas that Shonen Jump denied until they accepted Tokyo Revengers, and now Astro Royale, which I'm trying to find and read. But
oh yeah.
anyway, um, but I don't. Maybe that's a contributing factor. Like they have the mangas come out, people they see what people like, and then they know that when the anime comes out, it's gonna have audience. Whereas Western cartoons, it's just like they're whatever sticks. It's like all right, streaming Family Guy, like you said, for 2 hours because this is what everyone likes, and it just gets old really quick.
Yeah. I actually didn't think about that. So yeah, it does start off with the mangas. Like comics aren't selling as well here, which has been the case for a while. But like with the comics, I think if you had a comic series that people were following, like let's say Miles Morales, of course, people have been asking for Miles Morales for years now. But if they were to make an animated Spider-Man with Miles Morales in it, I think people would for sure watch that because they already want to see Miles Morales. And then like people are following the Miles Morales comic. We have Into the Spider-Verse movies, but I mean, a movie
Mhm.
comes out once every what 2-3 years or so like that. So, but if you had a cartoon ongoing of Miles Morales, it doesn't have to be animated in the Into the Spider-Verse way because we that's going to take forever to make. But like if you had how we had mad Spider-Man shows back in the day, if you had a current airing Spider-Man, I think people would watch that for sure, and it could come on at a reasonable time slot, not midnight on Saturday night,
Yeah.
and
and
people would
not and
people would like
and
it.
not only just any Spider-Man show, like right, like because Marvel is and DC, they're the closest thing we have to like mangas turning into shows and movies, right? So if they would take a Miles Morales comic that's running and try and animate it and stick to the script of the comic, especially if the comic has good writing, I think that would be a better than just making like a kiddie show, and it's just like, okay, he's finding a random villain every day, and it's like an any day of the week show. You could just turn on any episode. There's no storyline to follow, or the storyline's very loose. Like
Yeah,
it's the plot, really.
yeah. So I think what the draw is with anime, it attracts audiences of varying sizes. So you have, think they cover different topics. So like Dan to Dan, for example, they cover the topic of, child trafficking and then like this episode this week, how the mom was trying to save her daughter from child trafficking, but she was unable to, which,
Mhm.
ultimately led to her demise and she became a ghost because of it. But that's part of like one episode of a broader story. So in cartoons, we'll have something like Johnny Bravo. No plot. Every episode is where the hoes at. Which I mean, that there's an audience for that, of course, but does everybody want to watch that? Not exactly. Um,
Mhm.
or we'll have something like, Cow and Chicken, where each episode is something different. There's no really running theme throughout the whole thing. So I think storytelling is part of what's making anime, stay popular because there's a story and people are invested, so they want to see it through to the end. Versus cartoons is like, you can pick it up anywhere and watch any episode. Um, but then we like the cartoons that do have a story. So something like Steven Universe had a huge following. I mean, I still want to watch it myself, but I think they took it off Max. But I think that because there's an underlying story, people tend to stick with it because there's development here. We want to know how it ends instead of let me just watch a random episode and see, what happened. Let me get 20 minutes worth of chuckles. Versus anime is like, this 20 minutes I just watched is, just a piece of the puzzle. I got to know what happens.
It's a lot of reason why people watch the Avatar, because you had to see the end of the Avatar. I got to see this guy control all the elements. Like
Exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to be satisfied until I see that.
There's a goal here, and I want to see it to the end. I want to see this character that I've grown attachment to complete their goal.
That's why Go-Go Rangers is so funny because it's like, yo, that's so true, yo. We just sit down and watch Power Rangers and just whoever they beating up this week is who they beating up, and that's it. We're not looking at nothing else.
Right. Yeah. This won't have anything to do with next week's episode. It didn't have anything to do with the previous week's episode. We can pick it up from anywhere and watch at any time. Um, I think one thing I do want to mention is like the merchandising strategies. So
Mhm.
manga sells physically, like physically sells manga. People collect it. Like people tend to display their manga collection of like, oh, look at all these, I've collected the entire series versus comics. People don't really watch, I mean, read comics as often to the point where they're like, look at my comic collection. I mean, they're still, comic collectors, but it's a niche versus more anime fans are inclined to like pick up the manga of something that they're watching. So I
Yeah.
think the monetization is also a factor because of course, everyone wants to make money at the end of the day. With cartoons, they're trying to sell toys, but I mean, adults typically aren't, buying toys. I mean, if there's collector's editions of stuff, maybe, but
Mhm.
it's a lot less opportunity to make money from a series if it's, you're relying on toy sales and, comics that people probably won't read versus, manga, you might have the licensing for, the different merch that people are wearing. I mean, people wear superhero shirts, stuff like that, but like, when's the last time you seen a Avatar: The Last Airbender shirt anywhere that someone's like, oh man, I like that shirt.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
so I
see.
think,
I see your point. And
yeah,
you know what you just made? You just made me think about something that like Western cartoons, like a lot of those cartoons are not made for adults. Like they have adult Western cartoons, but a lot of them are for like the kids, teens, and eventually you grow out of that stuff, right? So even
exactly.
if you liked it as a kid, let's say you had parents that could buy you all the stuff and you have all the stuff for the show that you like, you're gonna grow out of that. It's gonna go in a box when you get older, and that's it. Whereas animes tend to like the story wraps you up so much that you could be a kid, adult, it's gonna travel through time. Like as an adult, you're still gonna appreciate the story of an anime and you tend to treasure that more. And it makes me think about like not Western cartoons, but like Western shows and movies that people hold the books to, like Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potters,
Mhm.
the Dunes. There's a lot of shows that people like will buy the stuff for because the story was so good. So
Exactly. They had a much larger target audience. So yeah, something like Harry Potter. I mean, I remember elementary school wanting to read Harry Potter books, and then even as an adult, well, I mean, I don't really keep up with Harry Potter as much now, but like there is an adult Harry Potter audience, and there's also like a school age Harry Potter audience. So I think the target audience for cartoons tends to be like it's very specific. Like they want a specific age group and almost only that specific age group, or they no, I don't want to say alienate other age groups or demographics, but it's like they have a very, very specific audience that they're going after versus anime. It has a much wider appeal, some of these shows. So like One Piece, for example, you can have there's One Piece toys, but there's also like One Piece swords that adults may want to have in their home. So it's reaching a bigger audience than
and you
cartoons.
and what's crazy, like if you go into the history of Western cartoons, the first cartoons that came out were strictly for adults. Like they were just risque, doing stuff that you can't do with real people. So they were all adult cartoons, and then they dumbed it down to make it for kids. And like now, the line's a little blurry. I'm not, Western culture is, weird in itself. And the hit and if I'm not mistaken, the history to like anime is like they are purposely were like, we don't want to be influenced by Western cartoons or nothing. Like, don't look at them for any inspiration. We're gonna do our own thing over here. Yeah, everybody thinks we're underground hardcore. Oh, if you're an anime fan, you're a nerd back in the day. Oh, you watch an anime, like what is that? But now that it's like it created its own culture and its own thing, its own style. Like when you watch a cartoon, you're like, oh, that's they trying to copy the way anime draws, and they trying to copy stuff from anime. Like they've created their own niche, and now we're paying for it. So not us,
Yeah,
but like
follow.
I'm
Yeah,
enjoying the hell out of it. I love it.
yeah. I mean, there is crossover too. So people that like anime do tend to like, Western cartoons, but I wouldn't say that a lot more people that strictly watch Western cartoons watch anime. So people that are watching. I don't even know what cartoons are relevant these days, but like an Uncle Grandpa fan isn't like, oh man, I like Uncle Grandpa. Maybe I should check out Attack on Titan. Like
Right.
there's not a lot of crossover there, but people that like anime do tend to. I feel like they start with Western cartoons, and then as they get older, they start to be like, okay, I still like animated mediums. Let me watch
Mhm.
something with a story that's animated. So I think that's where they lose people is they don't grow with their audience.
You can't throw a convention with Western cartoons.
I was just about to get into that. So like anime have their own conventions, so the communities are able to engage and support what the thing that they like through a bunch of different formats. So you have conventions specifically for anime. I mean, there's Comic-Con, but it's gets to be about movies and comics and then just pop culture in general. But whereas
Mhm.
an anime NYC is strictly about anime. I mean, of course, other stuff does pop up there, like video games and stuff like that. But yeah, something like Comic-Con, it feels like their focus is you know blockbuster movies versus the animated series of like Justice League or anything else that might be coming out.
And not only that, like you gotta like every city has a comic, or every state at least has a Comic Con. Like, it's insane how
Yeah,
many of these events are every year that people gather up to do anime stuff. So like it's got a huge community, and I don't know, like what Western cartoons are hitting right now? Like what is a
I'm trying
popular
to push
Western
the
cartoon?
Invincible Fight Girl agenda, but yeah, that
Oh,
the
that
way
one's coming
yeah.
up. That one's. I mean, that one's pretty good.
Yeah. Let me think. What other cartoons are like lit right? We have. I mean, what if? So, what if is a good example. It's something that I mean, it's comes out almost every year, every 2 years maybe. But so, what if is a good example of something that could be Western cartoon that we could put a little bit more driving force behind. So yeah, we have. What if there's more animated Marvel stuff coming out too? But yeah, DC animated films they tend to only do movies, which I mean, of course, people do watch them, but they don't get like big releases. How anime is starting to get big releases. I think anime gets big releases as a supplement to the actual show that's already going on. Versus our main thing is we're going straight to movie. So if there was like an ongoing Justice League, how I just watched Batman Beyond. Like if Batman Beyond was airing right now, I think people would be following that because there's a story throughout the entire show. And then they had the movie with the Jokers. So that's something that could have been boom, put in the movies. Batman Beyond is a major success right now. I think Batman Beyond was ahead of its time, for sure. Because right now, Western cartoons are struggling. So we don't really have
So
a
I
big
like
player in the
the
game right now.
like the My Adventures of Superman, and then the Batman that's on anime. I mean anime on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
the
Okay,
Cape
Crusader.
Crusader.
Yeah.
So like I like that style better than what they tried to do previous, like the kitty, like the more kitty, like just Adventures of Batman, Adventures of Iron Man, Adventures of Spider Man. Like give it a little bit
Yeah.
of story, like give it a little bit of like something that makes me want to tune into the next episode. Like so.
I think give more credit to the audience because even as kids, like we were watching things that had underlying stories. Like of course I liked Ed, Ed and Eddie, but I also liked Code Lyoko, which had a underlying story throughout the whole thing, and even Digimon, which it's skewed towards a younger audience, but the story, well, the franchise of Digimon grew with their audience, so they even had like a dark Digimon or a more adult Digimon come out eventually. So I think give more credit to the audience. Kids do understand. All right, we're back. Yeah, we just had a word from our sponsors real quick, but they didn't tell us before we cut the commercial break. But yeah, still back on the subject of Western cartoons versus anime. Any other uh top of mind thoughts when it comes to how we can get Western cartoons on the level of anime, or if it's even necessary?
I mean, they're doing a good job right now of just copying anime. Look at Netflix, for example. They got, their original animes. I still got to watch The Terminator. They're saying The Terminator's crazy. I got to
Terminator
watch
is
The
good, yeah.
Terminator. There's a couple other ones on Netflix that dropped that they said were good, but
Yeah, Tomb Raider is really
yeah.
good.
Tomb Raider, like all these cartoons are like, and like the Netflix anime style is like might be its own subgenre of itself because they got their own, like their originals, like seem to have like a similar style to me.
Yeah, I think we're straying away from the traditional powerhouses of like Disney, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon being where people watch their cartoons to, pretty, I mean, anybody can put out a cartoon, but um, I think individual streaming services having their own cartoons, like their original cartoons actually, is not a bad thing because people got to watch cartoons somewhere and not as many people have cable. So of course they're watching it on these streaming services. So uh, instead of streaming services, being in a foot race to adapt or get anime, they could probably be putting out their own cartoons.
Right. And it's funny because I've been watching Looney Tunes on Max, no lie. It's been like one of my background shows. Like, so
Yeah,
it's
my
funny that we're talking about this topic because I was just appreciating like the Looney Tunes, just straight up Looney Tunes, just like the way we used those cartoons. Those were classic cartoons,
yeah,
and yeah, I didn't appreciate them enough when I was younger. But
yeah.
that's
Now
the
they're
difference.
not as easy to find. So wait, is it on a specific streaming service that you gotta watch them on, or is it
It's
like
on Max. That's
Max?
the only
Oh,
place you can get the Looney Tunes.
you
All
did
like
say
I think
Max.
they got like 31 seasons or some craziness like that.
Sheesh.
You don't really get to Bugs Bunny till like season 5 or season 6. They got the old Looney Tunes, the black and white ones, everything.
Gotcha. You know what's been my background watch actually? That's an American cartoon, Boondocks. I've been watching that.
Okay.
I don't know what made me start watching it, but I kind of just picked a random episode to start watching it at.
Yeah, Boondocks is classic. Classic, classic. And
Yeah.
like the story is like important. You know what I mean? Like Boondocks, every episode had like a point to it. You know what I
Yeah, like
mean? Like
there's a message and I mean, they cover topics that some other cartoons are, maybe scared to touch, or maybe it's not their place to touch. But yeah, in Boondocks, they would go, politics, race relations. They would talk about a lot of different things. So I think there's definitely room for a cartoon to kind of touch on these things, even if it's in a comedic format, because I mean, Boondocks is a parody of, life itself. So
mhm.
something like that. I mean, people always talk cancel culture, but I mean, people do want to see these things, and dare I say, even some people learn from these kind of things. So yeah, whether it's a cartoon in a parody or not, like there's parallels you can draw from cartoons, especially things like Boondocks, where you kind of learn and maybe take a step back and look at it from a different point of view and have a different appreciation for things. So Western
Like if
cartoons, we can
if I can't go somewhere and talk to my friends about the show, like then it's not going to resonate as much. Like if it's just a slapstick cartoon, oh, just a random adventure. It's like, all right, I'm entertained for 30 minutes, but I don't have no reason to. It's not going to travel with me anywhere. And I don't know why Western cartoons are so scared to touch on certain topics in the like cartoons. And it's interesting because they're scared to touch on like serious topics, like some serious topics, but then other topics they put into the cartoons, and it's like, all right, what is you guys like? It seems like there's more of an agenda with Western cartoons than anime. Anime is like, I'm gonna give you a good story. It's gonna relate to whoever it relates to. It could relate real life, fantasy, whatever. But like, it's interesting how Western cartoons are right now. They're all over the place.
Yeah, they really are. There was one that I was just thinking of that it escapes my mind, but it's something that I was enjoying. That was Ninja Kamui. So that one, it was coming on Tsunami for a little while. People were saying
Mhm.
it's like essentially like an anime, but I mean, I eventually fell off because I just didn't like where the story was headed. But that it had its own place. People were really excited for a while about Ninja Kamui, but once they got to the mechs, I don't really like things with mechs in it. So yeah, I kind of fell off by the wayside. But yeah, it started off, it was cooking. It had some great animation, good voice acting. The story seemed like it was going to be nice, but yeah, the mechs kind of just pushed me away from that show. But there
Gotcha.
have been some recent contenders of, like, at least trying. Even things like Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is, of course, a beloved game series, but it was adapted, I believe, I'm pretty sure, as a Western cartoon. I don't know exactly the studio that made it or where they're from, but yeah, it's aired on Netflix. So I think
Right.
these places do have these stories do have a place in animation. I think we gotta stop reserving, big blockbusters for animation instead of, like, You know how back in the day, let's say something like Lilo and Stitch, like it first came out as a movie, and they're like, "Oh, this thing is doing great. Let's make it a cartoon." I think we
Yeah.
can get back to that, kind of like with Into the
Instead of
Spider-Verse.
making
So
everything live action.
yeah, instead of going live action with everything, let's just make a continually airing cartoon that has a story that people want to follow along with.
So I typed in like what was like the cartoon of the year for like 2023,
Mhm.
and my Adventures of Superman popped up. Velma, Scott Pilgrim. I'm just saying the ones that I recognize. I'm just trying to think of what is a Western cartoon today, because today it's like it's mixed. It's the anime is taking over. So like it might be too late. Cartoons might be. I mean the
They may be
traditional like
cooked.
cartoon versus anime. It might like not be a thing anymore. Everything's anime.
Yeah. I think yeah, anime
Like
has that strong of a foothold that.
yeah, I'm just looking at the like all of our cartoons like look and like the ones that are like look serious, they look anime. They look like they could be anime easily.
Yeah, and
So,
I mean that just goes to show you that's what people want to see is that sort of animation format. I mean, different type of animations work, but if instead of everyone calling everything cartoons now, they're just calling everything anime. I think anime has definitely taken
and
over.
then we got a lot of like CGI cartoons, that like what's the style? I don't even know what to call this style. Like that Paw Patrol, like
Oh yeah,
Taft, like that CGI style cartoon. And we got a lot of those that are just like, who's watching that except little kids?
yeah. I think
But
what could help is if we start adapting some of the games that come from Western studios into cartoons.
good
So something
stories.
like Horizon. I've recently fallen in love with Horizon. If they had a cartoon, I'll probably watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of jumping straight to, oh, let's make a Horizon live action. Let's start with a Horizon cartoon, see if that has any steam to it, and then because there's clearly a story there, we can animate it well, of course, and then see how that carries. But yeah, back to your point of they try things with a cartoon instead of like a different source material first and see if people even like it. I think that's part of why it is falling by the wayside.
Uh-huh.
Even something like Grand Theft Auto as a cartoon, I think could work. Do we have to make a live action Grand Theft Auto? No, we already have The Wire, we already have Power, we already have you name it. But a Grand Theft Auto cartoon, there's people that may want to see that. But yeah, as far as
It's
what's
just it's
airing now, I'm not sure. I don't know what cartoons are hot right now.
uh-huh. And I feel like I even have to force myself to watch like My Adventures of Superman and like Bat. And I hate to keep going back to like Marvel and DC, but they have the best Western animation. So I'm sorry. But
Yeah, it's tough.
I feel like I'm forcing myself to watch those cartoons because you can tell this targeted towards little like children. The commercials, like I have Max with ads. So the commercials that come up are like little kid toys. So like it's like, yo, I can't. It's like, come on, guys. Like
Yeah, and even some of the ones that like some of the legacy cartoons that were coming on, it seems like they've kidified it, if that makes any sense. So like Um, I hate to use this as an example because I like the show, but Teen Titans. So from Teen Titans to Teen Titans Go, they have kidified it for sure. So people love Teen Titans. Actually, Teen Titans, well, Robin was trending this week because people were talking about, have you been seeing those Robin memes from Teen Titans? So they were
no.
talking about how OP Robin was in Teen Titans. A
Okay.
lot of it was just like memes about like how strong he was in comparison to some of the other characters. They're like he was unironically the strongest Teen Titan member. So they would post like different feats that he would do. Yeah, I'm butchering it right now, but if you look it up like on social media, just like Robin, you'll see different memes about like, oh wait, Robin actually was high key strong. But yeah,
Got
so
you.
Teen Titans for sure, they turned it into Teen Titans Go, or even Thundercats. Like the new Thundercats that's coming on right now is for sure for kids. I don't think anybody that grew up with Thundercats, if they brought it up to their kids, like, man, I used to love Thundercats, you should check it out. And they look at the new Thundercats, they're like,
Mhm.
why were you watching this? Because yeah, that is not a. I mean, I'm not the target audience for it. I'll put it that way. Um, but yeah, they cartoonify things. Even Ben 10. So Ben 10 started off decently. Like, I don't want to say serious, but there was a story to Ben 10. The dude Ben 10 is straight up cartoon kitty. Not too many people want to watch that. But the original team, Ben 10, had a wider demographic of target audience. So I think they gotta stop kidifying things and put some respect on the medium of cartoons or animation, I should say.
I feel like the closest thing that Western animation has to being like that others should like emulate is the X-Men 97. The way they brought that back and had an
Yeah,
interesting storyline, and the animation matched everything. That's a good example of how to like wide range of our audience. I think the rating is like TV 14. So like, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be for really young kids, but like that was that's kind of what I'm looking for as like my age range, something like that.
yeah. I think so. X-Men 97 definitely slipped my mind, but that's one of the better cartoons to come out in a long, long time. So we're definitely, I mean, of course, still looking forward to the next season if we do still get that far. But yeah, X-Men 97. We had from Disney, Kazazimoto. Did you ever end up watching it?
Um, did I watch it? Did I watch it? Let me see. How
So
do
I
you
think
spell
it's
it again?
Kizazi. So Kazazimoto, like they had, I think it was an anthology. So it was Afrofuturistic, Afrofuturistic anthology, but it was on Disney Plus, but it was like poorly promoted. So not too many people even knew it was coming out. Same with how they're doing like Invincible Fight Girl
I
right
feel
now.
like
So
I watched this. I don't remember I don't know if I finished it, but I definitely started.
yeah. So I mean, there's stuff still coming out. It's just not being heavily pushed for whatever reason.
Right.
But then we got like let's say Marvel Zombies,
This
which is
is
coming out
this
that
isn't the one with the short stories that are like
yeah, it was
African
the
inspired
yeah, it was
sci-fi
that.
stuff. Oh, so yeah, I watched this. I watched
Yeah.
this.
So like we'll have things like that, but they just aren't, highly advertised. So not too many people even know they came out. And then it's like, dang,
Mhm.
are we going to get another season of this? No. Is there a different source material where I could keep on following this project versus anime?
Right.
Like if an anime cuts off at, whichever season, like there's still a source material where you can figure out, all right, what happens in the rest of this. Or let's say the first season drew you in so much that you're like, man, I want to read the rest of this. You can absolutely do that. But like a Kazazimoto, I wouldn't even know where to look if I wanted to see the rest, if there was more, for sure, for
Mhm.
instance. But like, let's say Tokyo Revengers season one, Heat. I was like, man, this show was so good. I'm gonna read the rest of it. I could go pick up the manga.
I mean, and then you got a show like Rick and Morty that is like, okay, this isn't for kids. This is an adult cartoon. It's a smash. It's it has a comic. Like I read Rick and Morty comics that are absolutely just as funny as the show. Um, and they like just pushed it into the anime genre. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, anime is doing so well that they're just like, you know what? Let's just make it an anime.
Like anything adult themed, like just like I know that was one of the I guess stereotypes of an anime when I was younger. Like it was adult themed. If you're watching anime, you're most likely gonna see some like adult stuff that you're not supposed to see. And so I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's a requirement for an anime for it to be
yeah.
adult.
I don't think necessarily because I mean, some of them are still. I don't want to say childish, but like they just have an appeal to a larger audience. But
Like
like it's
Naruto is a perfect example.
yeah, Naruto, even like Spy Family. Like if you explain Spy Family to someone, you'd be like, oh, that's for kids. But then when you watch it, you're like, this is not for kids.
Right. So
Yeah, but yeah, and wrapping up, any other thoughts on the subject?
I'm enjoying the content coming out right now. So
Likewise, yeah, there's still good cartoons coming out. They're just few and far between. But anime, we get new anime pretty much every season. That it's a banger every season.
let's give them some time since the writers are back. Maybe they still cooking up some stuff.
Yeah, maybe they just needed to listen to this pod, and now we've lit the fire under them to make some better cartoons.
Right. They're taking notes right now.
Yeah, because we know they're listening. But if there is nothing else, thank you guys for joining us for another week, another boys' night. Follow us on all our socials. Somebody's gonna put the screen up. I don't know them all by off the top of the head, but I mean, hey, that's what editing is for, right? But yeah, until next time, guys. I'm James.
I'm Jaja.
Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Peace.